I'm not sure what the total project value. It may have been something I've missed, but I've looked and haven't seen it. How would that work?
The total project cost is about $38 million, and so the remainder of the amount will be the equity that's put in and some other investors in what are called new market tax credits investors, which are allowable in this redevelopment zone. So the other it's another private investment group.
And one of the things you said that you had up to $4 million of hard equity.
Yeah.
Is that actual cash or is that whatever?
That's actual cash.
And the parking, I had a question. I guess all parking would be surface parking on some surface, but what does that mean exactly?
Okay. At this point in time, we're looking at providing parking in the land contiguous to the Elm Street Center parking deck, which would come down. That would be part of the hotel. The land going back behind Schiffman's, and that in that area along, that's not Green, it's along Davie Street. Is that Davie back behind there? Yeah, along Davie. You know, the comment was made about parking in downtown. I'll tell you, I just moved another business downtown, and there is parking needs. We would be, the hotel, if a parking deck were ever built downtown by the city and county, the hotel could potentially, if it was built at one of the preferred sites, which I think the corner of Washington and Davie, we could be a user, so we might be sort of a good tenant for some of those spaces if that was ever done. But in the meantime, we would be using surface parking, valet, things like that.
Now, one of the things that we encountered when the original proposal came was that certain people that had other interests downtown and hotel interests around the city felt like that we were unfairly maybe helping a competitor. I don't know exactly how they would term it, even to the point that some legal action was initiated but, you know, later dropped. Have you had conversations with these people, and would you have a thought of why they're not here tonight opposing it?
Look, I'm friendly with all of these people, and I don't know why they're not here opposing it. Certainly, to some extent, we'll be competitive with other luxury hotels in the community, but there's about 2,500 rooms of those kinds of hotels. I mean, there's many more thousands of rooms of other hotels, and we're talking about 180 rooms. The real benefit of this hotel is that it is really a downtown conference hotel, because nobody would build for a hotel this size the kind of conference facilities we've already invested into the Regency Room and the Empire Room at the Elm Street Center. So the synergies are fantastic. We feel a unique niche in the market between the very big conference hotels that Corey has and the O. Henry and the Proximity, which are luxury hotels but don't really have a lot of conference space in them. So we're also an urban hotel. A lot of people like the idea of being downtown. They can walk out and go to restaurants and other entertainment venues. So from a competitive point of view, I mean, it would be disingenuous to say there's no competitive impact, because all businesses of like kind are competitive. But actually, I think in some ways we're synergistic with the other hotels in the community.
Now, assuming that you were approved on the next level and the bonds were issued or could be issued, when would you anticipate breaking ground on this project?
I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, the legislation requires by the beginning of you have to start the project by year end. I mean, we're on a real short fuse here. We would anticipate it being opened in 2 years. I anticipate by that time it works well with the American Express project, the Honda Jet projects. The economy hopefully will be back booming, if not at least back in a much stronger position than it is today. And so we believe you're really probably talking about opening sometime in the late summer or fall of 2012.
Now, Guilford County has the economic investment incentive policy that the commissioners have approved. Not all commissioners, but the majority of them did. Would you be planning on applying for those tax deferments, or?
If they're available, we will apply for them. I'm not sure we've really, spent a lot of time thinking about it, but look, it is very difficult to do any type of project in the urban areas of any city. So this is a huge opportunity for this city. We're taking it's a private deal, private risk. We were going to do this project 2 years ago, but there just is no funding available through traditional means. That's why the recovery bonds have been made available. Contrary to what's been suggested here, what the federal government has basically said is that the lenders don't have to pay interest on the taxes on the interest they receive, but there's no money coming in from any government entity. It's all private dollars going into the project.
And I can ask you, or the gentleman from Wyndham, what would the name of this hotel be?
The Wyndham Greensboro.
The Wyndham Greensboro? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You know, a lot of my questions have been answered. I had emails from constituents that talked about what kind of equity the investor is going to have and where the government would be. I mean, I think you can't really say this is not government money because the interest on these bonds will be tax-free mostly. And so that's money that typically would go to the Treasury, and that money won't be there. However, there will be property taxes paid on this site in excess of what they are now. Hopefully they won't apply for that economic incentive policy, and hopefully if they do, we turn you down, but certainly if it's available, you should go for it. I think that when you look at the objections that people have, I think some of them are somewhat well-founded, but if you look at the overall picture and the benefit of what we're trying to do, I think anything downtown, you know, I like to say, the old saying, a rising tide lifts all ships. So I think if we have something that's downtown that puts people to work and puts us on the map, I think certainly the Wyndham with the golf tournament and their name on it, I think gives credence to it. The fact that we don't have opposition here tonight from some of the people that earlier opposed it makes me think that maybe they think it's more feasible than it was. You know, there's an old saying in business, no risk, no reward, and there is some risk in this project, but apparently from what we're getting from our bond attorney, the risk is to the private investors, and certainly we don't want a project to fail downtown, but I can't imagine that Mr. Kaplan and the investors would put their money into it, even though there is this bond available. I can't imagine that even with their name on it, they thought it was not going to be successful. So
our name will be at the top of it. And
pardon me?
Our name will be at the top of it.
And certainly the Wyndham gives it credence, and I hope that means that you're going to stay focused with the tournament for a long time. So I appreciate all the answers, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Stay there a minute.
Thank you, Commissioner Perkins. Commissioner Yao?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I've heard both sides. It's very compelling. The fact is, it's an uncompetitive edge beside motels downtown. This room's sitting full of business owners today that are struggling, the high interest rates, high taxes, and the burden of doing business. And when you come here today with these tough economic times and you say that we're going to get this money through the bonds and you're going to be less than standard interest rates, maybe 1%, 1.5%, but if you make it through the bond, you're going to be given the edge of the industry to go in. And these folks that are sitting there you're competing with, they're paying the high interest rate. And they're paying the tax and they're paying everything straight down the line, and they have fought to get what they got without no government aid. In my opinion, the government is aiding this country too much. And that government aid today, is going to cripple this country. That motel is not going to have people that can afford to stay in it in 15 years. And because of that, I'll be voting against it. I wish that we could get back to traditional business in this county to where people would not come to solicit funds to help bring a business in and or to stop trying to get bonds and government assistance in any way and to come to be dependent on our resources. I think it'll make a better country and a more sound country and a more sound Guilford County. And Mr. Chairman, I'll be voting against it as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Yao. I'm sorry.